What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just listening to some George Gaiman. He's talking about the Andrew Tate cancellation thing and the dangers of that. George is hitting on it. He's starting to see it. I mean, he's been seeing it the whole time. I can give George a ton of credit for that. But it's an interesting conversation when they can just cancel someone. And like when they cancel someone, they can cancel your social media, they cancel all your bank accounts. I don't know if you got his brokerage accounts canceled. I'm not sure how that works. Do they just take your deposits? Do they write you a check and say good luck cashing it somewhere else? I don't know how all that stuff works. But what you're starting to see, you could call it the deep state. It's obviously leans left, but ultimately the powers that be, whatever the powers that be are, or whoever they are, you're starting to see them take the mask off in the literal sense, where they're now looking at things like, yeah, we're just doing it now, like with no regard whatsoever for how the optics of something look, and they've gotten away with it. I mean, if you think about it, 2016, you've got Mr. Trump there that wants to run for president. I'm not a huge Trump fan. With that said, he runs, gets a lot of people upset, he wins. And I guess winning is what upset a lot of people. You have Russiagate, you have the Ukraine president phone call thing, the Hunter Biden thing. And in my opinion, it's all staged, it's all acting, like at all levels, including Trump. I know he's very entertaining and says some funny things, but like if you look at his track record, he's like, take your third jab, let's print trillions of dollars, let's shut down the economy. He plays right into these guys' playbook, or he's just right in there with their agenda. Can't really say that he's an opposing force. I know some people are like, no, he fights for us, and it's like that's kind of what they want you to believe. Let's model this moving forward. They're reaching the limits of soft power. And an example of this is you can raid the president's home, you can start canceling individuals, you can go for Joe Rogan, but a little too early for Joe Rogan, so you get some backlash and it only helps his brand. You can start going for the smaller creators and taking them out. But ultimately, game theory plays out to where it's a cat and mouse game, where people are going to find solutions around these things, and what they're hoping is that the masses don't recognize, like, oh, we canceled Andrew Tate. And for you guys that don't know or haven't heard of this guy, he's just loud. I mean, he's just like all over the internet. He gamed their algorithms really well. He did really well pushing his personal brand. He monetizes through selling an online university course system, and he's rather obnoxious at every level, and I kind of like it. But he's getting a lot of attention. He's just calling out like the Western cuck male for being a fat beta and all that type of stuff. And you're like, okay, yeah, man, you got some truth. I actually see some correlation in my own life where I'm like, yeah, like 100%. I had some dude and a few comments ago and a couple of videos ago was like, bro, you haven't gotten ripped yet. You look heavier than the last whatever videos. And I was like, I love it. I love that because it like, you don't want to skip a workout when you get like pushback like that. Anyway, we have a whole culture of don't hurt my feelings. In my case, I'm like, yo, bro, like if you're fat, you're fat. Let me know. I'm like, oh, I agree. I gotta keep pushing through. I had a buddy, an acquaintance, California. He wants to drop weight, and I'm like, yo, man, let's do it, bro. Let's get it. Let's get after it. No, man, I just feel so bad about it. I'm actually going to see a counselor about it right now. And I'm like, counselor? Your fat ass needs to go see a personal trainer, bro. Like, come on, man. But anyway, like we live in a culture where you can't have those like masculine conversations. You can't encourage your boys like that. And well, I guess you can, but you're gonna upset some people. Point. We're at a spot where you need to upset some people, but from here, do they have the juice to do what's required? So we're at this spot where the powers that be are playing with soft power, and they're hitting the walls of soft power. This leads me to the juice of this video. It takes 3% to have a revolution. If you want a revolution, you look through revolutions. There's a podcast called Revolutions. Very good, starting season 10. And about 3%, 3.5% of a population decides to throw down, it's happening. If 20% of the people decide to financially support them, resources, arms, etc., it's almost a guarantee that they end up being relatively successful. With that said, I think what we're about to see is not necessarily a physical revolution. I think we're about to see an economic revolution where people are just going to start exiting or getting canceled, and they're going to be forced. And they're going to be forced to create parallel systems. I mean, now you have a guy like Andrew Tate. If he didn't know about Monero before, you better think the guys that are around him are probably going like, yo, Andrew, you know about Monero? He's like, oh, I have Bitcoin. It's like, Andrew, you know Bitcoin's fully tracked, bro? Like, I'm a huge fan, but you know it's fully tracked, right? He's probably like, oh, well, I'm sure. But like, at this point in time, he's probably starting to think like, oh, yeah, I'm probably going to need some non-tracked crypto, huh? It's like, yeah, man, everybody is. Because half the country is now, deemed the enemy of the state. I mean, the president of the United States is like, hey, man, these people are bad. They're actually worse than the people in Iraq. Like, these are worse than the people we left $85 billion in weapons to this past year. They're worse than them. So anyway, we're at this spot where it's obvious that your false flag event is coming. You're going to demonize at least half the population. You're going to ask the plebs to enter into a new system. And that's where the hard work and the real work begins. We have to build new systems. And we might have to fight a war. And I think hiding that or siding and what I mean by that is, how do I phrase this so it's like it doesn't freak people out. Wars are pretty common throughout human history. We just haven't seen any yet in our lifetimes, and we've seen them, but they've been away. The war is now literally coming to your shores, and you're in it now. You're in the war for ideas, and then it's going to be the war for currency, and then it's going to be the war over resources, which will probably go hot and violent. And there are exits. I've got a buddy building that place in Colombia right now, and a buddy building a place in Mexico right now. I'm not saying that those are the spots. I'm just saying they're diversifying. They got a place here, they got a place there, they got, I got a buddy here, I got a buddy there. We're talking like, hey, what's game plan? Do you have crypto in a wallet that you can piece with? Do you have some cash out of the bank in case the banks were closed with some sort of situation where they were closed for a week or two? Do you have some extra dry food? Like, we're at that spot where it's kind of dumb to be making fun of people that are doing that at this point in time. The whole world is literally in chaos, and it's just going to keep circling until we find some sort of new equilibrium. And so my point is, they're playing with the limitations of soft power. There's only so many times that you can go raid the former president's house and keep your legitimacy. There is a point where, like, you're dangling the carrot and the stick, and the carrot's all rotten and nasty and not really, like, beneficial to anybody anymore. It's not like it was, 50 years ago when it was like, hey, just comply and society's gonna be good. You're gonna have a great middle class life. It's gonna be cool. You can do anything. You can build anything. You can, nowadays it's like you can build a 2 million, viewer YouTube channel, work your ass off, and any morning you wake up and it's gone. And so it's like, what do you own? You own the email list. I've got an email list, a link below. Get on that list. Like, at some point in time, you cancel these things out. I'll call your bluff. I'll take my chances with a stick. Oh, you can only do that once or twice. It only takes rolling snake eyes once for that to not go your way, and you've got a real situation. My point is, I don't think the people that are in power understand how to wield power in a Stalinist way, in a Mussolini-like way, in a Hitler-like way. And I don't think that they understand those valves. And so because of that, I don't personally believe that they're going to achieve their desired outcomes. And because they may fail at achieving their desired outcomes, that leads me to my thesis of everything's just going to get chaotic, and decentralization is going to have its day, and it's going to reign, and it's going to be the system that brings the goods. And I think that we're like barely scratching the surface of what decentralization can really do. And I think if they want to counter that, they've got to introduce hard power. They can no longer do the soft power with the carrot and the stick. Now they've got to they've got to give up on the carrot idea and go to the stick, which people like Stalin were very good at. I don't think that the left or the powers that be, I don't see much difference between the right and the left, so I don't want to isolate anyone as being like good or bad. I don't want to be like both of these people are like, the right is not what you want and the left is not what you want. These are not ideal Like, these are not ideal, clear mental models to base political framework off of. Both of them are for the same thing. But we're now at that spot where I think people are going to call their bluff, and they're going to say, "Yeah, I'll try my chances with the stick." And if they don't wield hard power properly, it's going to spiral out of control. All I'm saying is that as individuals, we have to figure out how to create the most value for individuals, so that we can hope to achieve value for ourselves. Like, you got to serve other people. You got to serve your customers to make a profit for yourself. That's just the way the game works. Unless you have a money printer, which they do and you don't. So we got to play by a certain rule set that they don't have to play by. And then beyond that, you've got to start building these parallel systems, because it's very evident at this point in time that they've got an agenda and they're running that agenda full steam ahead. I just don't think that they realize the work that needs to be done. And the work that needs to be done is the gulags. Like, you've got to start removing people. And not just shadow banning them. Off with their head. That's what has to be done. That's the type of work that it takes to have a proper, like, red revolution, as far as, like, the Maoists went in China. Like the Red Guard was just like, yo, we're chopping heads. 50 million dead. No games played. Like, okay, like, that's pretty serious. And that brought on, the People's Republic of China. Like, the Communist Party of China. Like, what that we see now. I think we're at that spot where people are going to call their bluff relatively soon. They're going to try with the false flag event relatively soon. And then people are going to go, I'll try my chances with the stick. And if they don't have the juice, if they can't make it really, like, they can't really throw down the throttle, I think they're going to get a very interesting adverse effect that they may not be expecting. And I'll leave it there. I'll see you guys down in the comments. More on this later. Follow my Instagram, OnSiteTrav, for more of these ideas. I kind of put very uncensored stuff on the gram, because my thoughts are, if I get canceled from Zuckerberg's platform at some point, whatevs. YouTube's pretty strict about their strikes and is way more useful than Instagram. But at the end of the day, I think all of this social media activity stuff, I think all of it is ultimately going to find itself to Urbits, which I'll have more on. That's the conference I'm headed to. I think that they're just well positioned for. I just think we're about to see a changing of the guard at all levels. So until the next video, I will see you guys down below. Peace.